Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
Big from the Lean Into It release with Alive and Kickin', Chris. And guess what?
What?
Mr. Big is alive and kicking once again. And we knew it wouldn't be long until these guys came back in full force. And they are back, and they are touring, and they are maybe talking about recording some new shit. And on the phone with us to discuss that is, we like to consider this guy a Classic Metal Show friend. The one and only...
Mr. Big Shit.
The one and only, the great Eric Martin. Welcome back to the Classic Metal Show there, Eric.
Hello, guys. It's great to be here. Great to be back with Mr. Big again, too, I'll tell you that.
Well, Eric, Mr. Big obviously called it a day years ago, and we knew it was kind of inevitable that you guys would come back eventually. And, here you are. And did you, I guess the question right out the gate there is, did you see this coming?
No. Like, you saw it coming? You thought it was inevitable that we'd get back together? I had no idea because of so many, little things in the magazines and newspapers or even fans coming up to me saying, that the rest of the guys would never do it in a million years. And I never said never, but when I got the gist of the other guys saying that they wouldn't be interested in doing it, especially Paul, he didn't want to take a step backwards, but ironically, he did go back to Racer X, but so I had high hopes, I definitely missed being on stage with those great musicians and missed the music and just the creativity of it, writing music for that stuff. I missed it, so I don't know, maybe somebody heard my dreams, I don't know, but I never said never, and I never wanted it to, in the beginning, I never wanted it to end, That sounds like a song. Anyways, yeah, I never wanted it to end, but when it did, at the time, I kind of went, oh, man, I think it's over. It's right. Over. It's all, the fat lady has sung her last note. Anyway.
Nice. Well, Eric, obviously, man, the band pretty much called it a day in 2002, and at the time there was some bad blood between some of you, and without getting real into it, what exactly did you guys have to do to kind of get past that, to actually put it together where you guys could discuss going back on the road and being back together again?
I don't think we really didn't discuss anything, but we didn't sweep it under the rug either. It's just, I think, because of, it seems cliche, but, time does heal. We probably, it's kind of unwritten right now. We're actually not going to revisit the, the miscommunication breakdowns that we had in the past. We're just not going to go into that, get a therapist or something, make a movie. I don't know. We're not going to do any of that kind of stuff. Right. I'd emailed Billy. Somebody emailed me about like Rocklahoma or something like that the last Rocklahoma, and said that they were interested in having the original lineup of Mr. Big, and when they asked me, they said, yeah, we got Billy, we got Paul, we got Pat, they're all on board. Are you interested? And I said, well, hell yeah, if they are, of course I am. And then, unbeknownst to me, this guy had contacted each of the guys and said the same thing to them too. Kind of like it was supposed to be like some kind of weird rock and roll blind date. And I had like a couple little, I was thinking, I don't know if this is right. So I emailed Billy and said, hey, you want to check this out? Have you been getting reports about this Rocklahoma? And I also said, hey, remember me? I'm Eric Martin. I used to sing for a band, with you. But, and he wrote me back and said, yeah, we talked about it, and it was a bad move, on this, I guess, promoter's part, trying to put Mr. Big back together that way. So when we talked a little bit and emailed and said, hey, I miss playing with you, and what have you been up to, and just kind of chitty chat a little bit, and then I emailed him again, like around November, and he was on the road in Japan, and I emailed him about does Yamaha make a custom bass guitar, like a miniature bass guitar, left-handed. I was going to give it to my son for Christmas, and he goes, no, Yamaha doesn't make anything like that. So, God, about 10 days before Christmas, this big package comes, and it's a custom Yamaha bass guitar for a little kid, left-handed, from Billy. I mean, major olive branch right there. I kind of thought, wow, that was just amazing to me. I mean, I was, near tears actually when that happened. And I went to Japan, and people were, kept asking me like they've been asking me for the last 12 years, when's Mr. Big going to get back together? And I would say, I don't know about getting back together, but like getting back together as friends. We're working on it, and that made me like happier than the actual playing music again. But so shortly after that, I think like January, we started to call each other. I saw Pat on the road last summer when, ironically, he was playing drums with Richie Kotzen, and Richie and I played a festival together, and I talked to Pat about like, it'd be great if Mr. Big got back together. What do you think? And he goes, and he said he had the same things. God, it'd be great, but I don't think Paul wants to do it anymore. But anyway, long story short, Paul did play the House of Blues. I think February, January, and Richie was on that same bill, and Pat was playing with Richie. Paul called Billy up and said, "Come down for a jam." They jammed. You read about it in some places, on blogs and stuff. But they jammed, and they played 30 Days in the Hole with Richie, and they had a great time. Paul loved it, and Paul just said, "God, he imagined Eric Martin being here with us, with those guys." And next thing you know, I get a phone call, and we have dinner, and we discuss. We talk a little bit, and we just say our motivation is to have fun and give the fans, whatever they want. And they've been asking for it for so long, so we're here to serve them, something very hot and nasty.
Right. Well, Eric, obviously, man, when you look at...
Ooh, baby, that was a long conversation with myself. Woo!
Well, man, when you look at you guys, the four individuals after Mr. Big, split up, obviously you probably had the most success, with TMG especially. You had a pretty good run over there in Japan. And then obviously the scrap metal thing that you've been doing the last couple of years has been fairly successful as well. Do you think that the other guys seeing that made it seem like, well, maybe this would be a little bit, maybe now is the right time because the songs are still getting played and still getting good reaction, especially in, you guys' hometown of Japan?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I've also, I'm like one of the last holdouts to do a cover record, and I was asked by Sony International to do a couple cover albums, Japanese songs translated to English, and then international songs, and it was really it's been successful. It was like number one of 2008 in Japan. I think maybe because Bon Jovi and U2 and Madonna or Britney Spears or some shit like that didn't release records, so I got lucky. But it it's been doing pretty good actually. This you know, yeah, by the way, I'm skirting around the issue here, but like the album package is called, are you ready for this? I'm totally going to shoot myself in the foot for this, but it's called Mr. Vocalist.
Oh.
Okay? Yeah, I know. You know what are you going to do?
They have it hasn't gone to print yet, has it?
Oh yeah, man. It's already Mr. Vocalist 2 already. But you know what? I know, look. But I don't get that reaction in Japan. They love it. It's already like sold.
They don't understand what it means.
To me, when I first heard it, you know, when they asked me, they said, Eric, you have creative control. You pick the band, you pick the songs, you pick all the arrangements, record it, and you know, get it. You know, you know, you have a couple months to do it. But you have creative control. But what do you think of the name, Mr. Vocalist? And I'm like, I don't really care for it. It's kind of like trying to capitalize on Mr. Big a little bit. It sounds kind of like Mr. Microphone, like, we'll be back to pick you up in a minute, vibe, you know? And they go, tough shit. That's it. So I was an executive producer for about an hour, and then I went down to producer. So, but regardless, it has been doing great business in Japan, and especially, you know, with this economy, I'm a lucky mofo on that thing, you know.
Well, Mr. Big is like the Beatles over there in Japan, so you guys could serve shit on a plate, and the people would eat it up over there.
You know what? It takes like the Beatles. You know what? You know the thing is about Mr. Big is that we campaigned for years. I mean, we were playing like tiny clubs back in late, like 89. And then we, you know, slowly started playing like the bigger shows, but we always came back. I mean, it cost a lot of dough to come back, you know? And so we just kept coming back and pushing it. And as well as playing in the United States. And then, you know, when the, I don't know what you would call it, the shake-up of music, rock music, you know, with like the grunge scene taking over. And we had a place to go, you know, where other bands, you know, kind of went into hiding. We kept going to Japan, so, and Southeast Asia and South America and all that stuff, but we had a place to go and to play, and we kept going back. So I think they never, they were constantly, you know, have been loyal and just sweethearts. They've been great to us, and they waited for us for the original lineup to get back together. You know, judging from the fact that most of this tour is sold out already, so it's amazing.
Well, Chris and I were having a discussion just prior to this interview about you know, some of the tours that you were on, and I remember back in, I believe it was like 92 or maybe 93, Mr. Big opened up for Rush.
Right.
And we were discussing, you know, was that the appropriate band to be an opener for as far as Mr. Big is concerned? Did you feel that was a good tour for you to open for Rush?
You know what? Paul Gilbert, well, I mean, I loved Rush too, but Paul Gilbert was like a major Rush fan. Even when we toured with Rush, he brought all of his albums and stuck them in his wardrobe case, and at the end of the tour, he had Alex and Geddy and Neil sign them, you know, so they're total grouped out. But in the beginning, I didn't think it was a great bill, but they were one of the biggest bands in the world, and and the fact that, you know, you got Billy, Pat, and Paul, similar. I mean, you know, it's like a muso thing, a muso band with a, you know, a soul singer, I guess. But in the beginning, or I think the first gig was in like North Carolina. It was on the Presto tour, and I remember it said like Rush, and you know, and then little letters, Mr. Big, and we're pulling in, our bus is pulling in, and we had all these Rush fans kind of going, looking at us like turning their backs, and like, you know, like we didn't belong there, you know. And I remember like the first gig, it was all guys looking at Billy's fingers, you know, all guys looking at Paul. I think I'm singing to the lady that does the tickets, you know, got no chicks whatsoever. And I'm thinking, this is going to be a boring as fuck tour for me, right? And then after like maybe a couple months of this tour, Alex and Geddy came down to our dressing room and said, "God, thank you guys so much for bringing girls to the gigs." So it actually became it was a great tour, and the fact that we got to play with them. Towards the end of the Presto tour, we'd come out and play In the Mood. Billy would play bass with Geddy, you know, going back and forth, and Paul learned a harmony solo with Alex, and Pat played some percussion, and I took a verse. You know, and here we're playing Alpine Valley and, you know, Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum. It was amazing. And then, but in the beginning, it was tough. I mean, the only thing I had in my arsenal was we had a song called Addicted to That Rush, and I would point to the audience and I go, "Are you addicted to Rush?" And they'd go, "Ah." I go, "Hold that thought," you know, that kind of thing, you know.
Oh, good memories, good times, good times.
It actually was good, and we got invited back to play half of the Roll the Bones tour as well, and we became friends. And hey, look, you know, I became a second generation Rush fan again, you know, and the fact that they're special thanking us in their albums and stuff. That was, and I, you know, when we were hanging out in the parking lot, you know, waiting to do a sound check, because Rush would take hours to do a sound check, and I'm hanging out in the parking lot and tailgating with Rush heads and stuff, and we became friends. I met so many those guys, and we're still friends to this day, you know. And I used to call them bus chasers, because as soon as when Rush's bus would come into the parking lot, the whole tailgating crowd would get up from their lawn chairs and run after the bus to see if they could get a glimpse. I bet that was you two knuckleheads, man.
You're probably right.
You know, I remember we played this baseball game one time, and God, I shouldn't even mention the guy's name. I will. His name is Derek. Anyway, I took him to the baseball game, and it's Rush and Mr. Big playing a radio station, and Neil played a couple of innings, but then he kind of sat it out, and he's smoking his Canadian cigarette or something like that, and he throws down this cigarette, and Derek and a couple of these other Rush Head guys dove for that cigarette "Hey, there's one with meat on it," or "Get it quick," you know. So we had a great time. Those first few weeks or a month was tough, you know, but then we were accepted because Rush accepted us. So we got lucky, you know.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that I was the one guy that went to both of those tours, those Rush tours, and walked after you guys played, because I am not a Rush fan, but I went both times to see you guys play.
But hey, come on, man. I became a major Rush fan. I mean, I only knew that first album. You know, I stopped getting into Rush after the first, you know, The Working Man and all that kind of stuff, which I probably be shot by Rush fans all around the world. And then I became a Rush fan when I was on tour. And God, I mean, Subdivisions. I mean, every night it was this, you know, just a wall of sound. But anyway, I had a blast, and it definitely helped us sell records. So sure. Well,
you guys were right at the, I guess the pinnacle of your popularity at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember that distinctly because I was out traveling the roads, and it seemed like I was crossing Rush out on the road, and Mr. Big is up on stage throwing down, and this is Marshall Stacks reporting live from the Memphis Coliseum,
Yeah.
So I remember.
Hey, I remember this one. I got to tell you this other kind of gig. I hope I say it right too. But we're playing at Cal Expo, and we came out and we're doing the In the Mood thing, and somebody, I think, no, it was before that in our gig, and it's my I have two hometowns, San Francisco and Sacramento. So Sacramento, here we are, we're playing, and somebody threw a banana up on stage, right? And Billy put it in his pants, like as a joke, you know. Hey, look at this, oh, you know, Mr. Big. I don't know what he was doing. Put it in his pants, and then threw it back in the audience. Okay, so here we are. We're doing our thing with In the Mood. That banana comes back up and smacks Geddy in the face.
Oh, nice.
Oh, dude, now the gloves were off, man. Anyway.
Nice. Well, Eric, what is the long-term plan here for Mr. Big now that you guys are together and whatever? What's the plan here? Is there a sketched out idea here as to what you want to accomplish, or are you just taking it day by day, or playing it by ear, or what are you doing?
God, you said all the adjectives. Now, which one? What will I choose? The lady or the tiger? The thing is like my dream is to keep the machine going, to like keep touring, play Japan, Southeast Asia, maybe go to South America, Europe, and eventually come back to the United States in like, you know, maybe like a package tour, you know, like how, you know, with the Poison, Warrants, or maybe not any of those bands. In any of those bands that are still rocking out, Whitesnake, you know, Def Leppard, Tesla, any of that kind of thing would be awesome to come back to the United States with. But and then eventually do a record instead of just a concert and a T-shirt. You know, actually do a record and keep it going. We actually had a conference call today and just talked about our upcoming tour. And like Paul just got back from Europe. He said he was exhausted. He was going to like sleep for about, you know, 8 to 10 hours. And basically, and just getting, we did a video for this song that's out. It's called Next Time Around, which kind of like the tour is based around this, you know, idea. This is our next time around. And we put out the first 4 albums that like with some kind of weird, I don't even know the name of it, some kind of an enhanced CD sound mojo on it with some bonus tracks and all that, and then this best of with like some other kind of mojo on it, but also like about 5 or 6 bonus tracks on it. And then God, I don't know. But do some like T-shirt, you know, we're doing some T-shirt ideas. It's all like we're just having our little conference calls and just trying to, you know, take a deep breath and get ready to run around on stage again. I'm looking forward to it so much. I'm like, I got high anxiety.
Sure.
No, I'm just going
well, Eric, obviously, man, getting back with Mr. Big, does that kind of shelf all the other stuff that you've been doing? I mean, I know you're Mr. Vocalist, but does that get put on the back burner?
You're funny. Yeah, this Mr. Vocalist thing is kind of like put on hiatus until like I'm going to do another one, like Mr. Vocalist 3. But I have I did a concert in Japan last month. It was like a DVD of these songs that I did, and that comes out in June, like right before the Mr. Big tour, I guess. And then I'm just gonna put that on hold. I'm gonna put everything on hold there. This is like, you know, Mr. Big is my main priority, which I'm so happy to say. I love, you know, I have like a whole box of Mr. Big pics. It's just been sitting there on the shelf, you know. But basically, I'm really looking forward to it, and just, you know, like I hear it in Billy's voice, you know. When we first got together, and we toasted some champagne. I said, God, you know, we're so happy that this is gonna work. And I looked at him, I go, man, I missed you, man. I really missed hanging out with you. And like we both like kind of looked at each other like, all that shit. That crap, that black cloud that we both of us had over our heads is gone now, and I hear it in his voice when we talk. You know, it's a great feeling to have. I really miss these guys as friends. So there you go.
Well, now that you're back with the band,
Is that you, Oprah?
now that you're back with the band and going out, I haven't seen you in a while, Eric. Will you be growing out the do and having the retro Mr. Big look about you?
I've been growing out the do. I've been growing out the coif, or whatever you say here. But it's not like the old days. When I was in my 20s and 30s, right, like grew my hair long. And then now I'm older, and growing your hair long takes longer, man. You know what I'm talking about. But look, it don't matter how it looks. So it grows out, right? Everybody's just, the same old people that are just stuck in that rut, going, it doesn't look like he doesn't look like he did back in 19. God.
Well, that was kind of my point, because that's what people want to see, and they expect that, and they expect you to never age, and you're supposed to look exactly like you did when you, toured with the band last time.
Yeah, well, I'm going to shoehorn myself into a pair of Peter Golding jeans, where just like shove my ass right into like some skinny ass 29-inch waist pants, and then if I can't find any cowboy boots with spurs, maybe a nice pair of Capizios will probably suffice. And then, I think the chain wallet has that comes and goes. When it no more, there won't be any handcuff earrings or feather earrings anymore. God, what else? But Jay, it'll be it's the same voice,
Sure.
Same voice and the same, hey, look, I can only look as best as I can. I'm trying to, I'm working out and trying to, just get enough stamina to run around on the stage again. I miss that. But, it's so funny. That's such a funny question, man. Hey, so are you gonna get put on a fucking wig and I'm sure Billy will be digging out the suspenders. I don't think so, fellas. I don't think it's gonna work. Paul will be, getting his fringe on his guitar, and we'll get the drill will be there. I guarantee it.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm glad I can bring to the forefront some of these thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, I know. I really haven't given that much thought. I'm trying to learn lyrics of 25 songs that I haven't sang in years. Although, I have sang some Mr. Big songs because I have been traveling as a solo artist, back and forth from South America and Europe, and I have been, playing maybe 5 to 10 Mr. Big songs. But now these guys, I go, is there a master list or something? Eric, no, just here's these 25, 30 songs, and we're going to do them. Okay, it's this ain't going to be like a Grateful Dead gig, is it? It's going to be 4 hours of Mr. Big a night now. Well, no matter what it is, I'm going to definitely be prepared. So,
what song did they bring to the table that you didn't even remember at all?
The whole world is going to know a song that Billy wrote. I think it was on the Bump Ahead album. That's one that when I listened to it recently, I went, "Wow, that's cool. Who's that?" I didn't even know. I didn't even remember it. And then I haven't sang Green Tinted 60s Mine in years. And the first time I did it in years was at that press conference in Japan. We we practiced at the bar, I had a beer and it was oh yeah, hanging out with Janice, okay, here we go.
Nice.
And I don't need to practice To Be With You or anything like that. So, I'm addicted to that Rush too. I haven't done that in years, but totally looking forward to that shit. And also, just we did a cover version of Argent's "Hold Your Head Up."
Oh, cool!
It sounds really good, and we're going to do that. I'm pretty sure we're going to do that because that's going to be on the best of. Yep. But other than that, man, I'm hanging out in San Rafael, California. You know, I went to the dumps today. Just fed the kids some salmon. Just kind of being a domestic house cat up until the moment I have to get on the airplane. So, and grow my hair.
Right.
I got my life's good, babe. I really know I have shit to do. You know.
Oh, good, Eric. Well, you know, we're glad to see Mr. Big, you know, returning.
Oh.
Yes?
Oh, that's it. Glenn Hughes. That's the interview.
Oh, you listened to Glenn Hughes? Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, man. What a you know what? I wanted him to say specifically why they can't get back together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It
wasn't clear. It was like if you're a Deep Purple fan, you're supposed to know, you know, but it wasn't clear. Anyway, it was a shame though. What a drag. I love Deep Purple.
Well, look at you. You're right in company with the great Glenn Hughes on the Classic Metal Show.
Oh man, one of the greatest rock and roll singers of all time. God, he's a total hybrid of like heavy metal, and then he has this kind of Stevie Wonder thing happening, you know. But for me, he does. You could totally tell, like even with like Richie Kotzen has that kind of voice. Like when I first met Richie, I didn't want to say, God, you sound just like Glenn Hughes. You don't want to say that to a person who, like, you know, you sound just like Richie Kotzen. Yeah.
You know who Kotzen sounds like is Chris Cornell.
Maybe.
He sounds just like Cornell on a lot of his records, anyway.
I think he. All right. There you go. Okay, I'll buy that. Okay.
Well, Chris, why don't you tell Eric what you learned about Paul Gilbert and what he's not from the fans who attacked you brutally?
If you want to look up something funny about your bandmate Paul Gilbert, you just look up the interview that we did with him on YouTube and just look at the comments, because I called him a noodler. Oh my God! Every Paul Gilbert fan and their brother is writing about how much I suck.
Dude, you don't call. You know what? Look, that was like one of the straws that broke the camel's back years ago. I remember I shared a room with Paul, like on the road, you know, and we were like lean and mean, you know, back in 1988, 89.
Right.
And here we are in Motel 6, you know, getting ready for the show, and I'm like just trying to wind down, watching like some kind of rerun of, you know, I Love Lucy or some shit, and just like looking at it, and Paul's going, you know, right next to me, and I go, do you have to noodle? Like, you know, or like, I went, God, can you give it a rest? You would think that I like ran over his puppy. He gave me the stink eye from hell, and I remember that to this day, which that'll never happen again. I have to close my Mr. Big Mouth from now on to keep this band together. You know what I mean? So.
Well, Chris learned that he is not a noodler.
Yeah.
No. It's practicing, man.
Right.
When he does that kind of stuff. But like, you mean you call him a noodle, like actually a live? Oh, okay, whatever. Hey,
yeah,
man,
I was just interviewing him, and actually I said it's good that you did a record that's not just a guitar noodling album. And his fans all took that as me saying that he's a noodler.
Lord have mercy. I remember like this like German journalist, got to say that 5 times, said something like to you know, Paul, you know, people have style, but you have no style.
What?
Something like, but more of a like, you have no style, you know, some kind of accent thing. Anyway, at any rate, he got a little like offended or perturbed about that. We used to laugh about that shit.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, well that's you and him, man. Work it out.
Well, Eric, again, like I said, we're glad to see that Mr. Big is back and in fine form, and hopefully I'll get a chance to catch you guys somewhere in the States this year. But anyway, is there anything you want to tell the fans, or you know, something we haven't touched on or covered, or you feel that they need to know, just got to know?
After saying the whole Mr. Vocalist thing, I think you got to check it out first. You know, don't don't think bad of me or any less of me. Basically, you know, what that is, hey, look, I forgot to tell you the reason why they do call me Mr. Vocalist. I was asked to, they go, you know, Eric, we look at you, your voice as an ambassador to, you know, melodic rock music in Japan. I go, thank you very much. Okay, so now here's the project. Songs made popular by Japanese women, translated to English, and, like, you know, you're going to sing these female pop songs. I go, what the fuck? Whoa, what? I didn't really get it, and I thought I was totally confused by the whole situation, but I think that's what it is. They look at it like, I'm Mr. Vocalist, as opposed to, I told you I'd bury myself at
nice.
Either the beginning or the end of this conversation. Glenn Hughes is probably going to go, fucking Eric Martin, what a piece of shit, you know.
He wouldn't speak like that. Glenn Hughes is a born-again Christian man, and he does not swear.
Okay, sorry. Anytime I do, like, English voices, like, if I was, you know, I think I'm like Ozzy or some shit. But,
hey, Eric, on that check that you got for Mr. Vocalist, was there a lot of zeros?
Oh, yeah, big time zeros. I had a wheelbarrow. I brought it. I had to bring that through customs. No, it's been great. I love, and the fact that the music I'm doing is a little bit more like it's ballads. It's ballad music, and it's like these really famous pop ballads that I've turned into like little rock ballads. Kind of like, well, Mr. Big had a song called "Just Take My Heart," and the songs are similar to that vein, or I've arranged them to that vein. Be like little rock ballads. I love it. It's been fantastic, and the fact that you know, for the last couple of years, going back and forth to South America and Europe and all that, you know, hanging around in a van with a, you know, 5-piece rock band, getting paid like $500 a night, doing pretty like nothing, and also, you know, raising my 2 children. It was like a blessing when it came along. That came along, the scrap metal thing came along, and then Mr. Big came along, and it's been fantastic.
Well, you must be living your life right there, Eric.
Look, I never stopped, and whether it be up the ladder or down the ladder, I'm still on the frickin' ladder, so I'm happy about that. All
right, Eric. Well, we always appreciate the opportunity to chat with you here on the Classic Metal Show, and well, check out Mr. Big this summer sometime down the road. And you guys got a website or anything you're promoting now, or is it up and running, or what's the deal?
Yeah, we were talking about that today. It's still there, you know. Still, the site's still hanging on. It's just Mr. Big's site, or MrBig.com, and it just basically says the dates of the Japanese tour and a little blurb, blog, or whatever you call it, of the reunion. But there's more to come on that. And then our individual websites, you know, you can read like some news and blogs that we got coming out. But as far as like coming back to the United States, I mean, we put those cards on the table. We're talking about it. We really want to come back to play for all the folks. But as far as we know right now, it's just Asia.
Oh, maybe Rush will tour.
Yeah, maybe Rush will tour. Smart ass.
All right, Eric. Well, we're gonna get out of this thing now, but congratulations on the reunion, and good luck with all that. And well, why don't you pick a song and take us out of this interview, and maybe tell us a story about it.
Pick a like what? Like Every Rose Has Its Thorn, something like that.
well, Mr. Big song, maybe.
Oh, Mr. Big.
Maybe one of your personal songs off of one of your solo releases, or something like that.
Okay. God. Well, yeah, I'd love it. Like, I don't know if you've heard this song. I'm sure you have, you folks out there, but this is one of my favorite Mr. Big songs. Just the fact it's got like a kind of a country rock element to it, kind of like if you know, Lynyrd Skynyrd could have played this song back in the day. It's a song called "Alive and Kickin' on the Lean Into It album.
Well, I started the interview with that.
Then, you know what? All right, then maybe it is every rose has a thorn, you jackass. All right. Maybe, 11, okay, let's see, well, how about, okay, here's one, little high speed on ice rock and roll song called, Colorado Bulldog. If you like dogs.
Okay.
And booze. And mix it together. That's what it basically is. All right?
Excellent. All right.
But there's no noodling whatsoever in this tune. Okay, at all.
Very nice.
All right. Well, go check out Mr. Big's website and find out where they're going to be if you're over in Asia somewhere, and hopefully in the States later this year. And well, here it is. This is what, Eric?
Colorado Bulldog.
Exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.
Thanks for checking out the best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com.
The Classic Metal Show.